Hey guys, welcome back. First off, I just want to say thanks to everyone who has watched my first couple of videos, who has subscribed to the channel. I've had a lot of really good feedback from people who have, privately messaged me through, Facebook or Instagram or whatever. It really means a lot that what I'm doing has helped other people. And that maybe they've got some good out of what I've been doing. Like I said at the start of this, this is mostly for me, just a way to be open. But if I can help or touch someone in a way that maybe they didn't know they needed. That's great. Um, I think that's awesome. And again, I've got some really good feedback from some people that I've never even heard from really before. So that's very touching that some of you have reached out to me and said very kind things. This video is going to be a little bit different. It's kind of go backwards and kind of talk about my past some. I grew up in a very small rural town in Indiana. I was a very awkward and weird kid, teenager. Very much felt like I was an outcast. Feel a little more normal these days, but still kind of an outcast. And that happens when you live, kind of in the Midwest in a smaller town. When you love horror movies and video games, and you're an adult who doesn't feel or act like an adult, who is still very much stuck in your childhood, who really embraces those things, and I always have. It's just part of who I am, Where I'm at, there's a lot of people that work in, factories, farmers, coal mines, that sort of thing. Until he retired. So, very hard-working man. He worked a lot of overtime. He worked a lot of holidays, Christmases. He, just wasn't around, and that wasn't his fault. It was just part of the job. I resented that for a long time, even into my adulthood. I didn't understand why my dad wasn't around, and it was very hard. Wanting to be closer to him. But I've realized, at my age, that he was doing the best he could, and that's what any parent is trying to do. The best they can. There is no handbook to being a parent or an adult, and he was doing what he thought was right, for his family. He worked a lot of overtime, and when he was home, he was tired. He didn't want to do anything. He just wanted to, lounge on the couch and watch a little TV. And so, as a kid, even as a teenager, I didn't understand that. I just wanted him to be more involved. And I battled with that for a very long time. And really, it's only been in the past few years that I accepted, that like he did what he could. He wanted to make our lives as comfortable as he could. The only way he knew how, just to work his ass off. And he'd go to work sick, sick as a dog. And I really respect that. He would have, sick days, vacation days. But he wouldn't miss. you know, because he felt like he owed it to our family and to, you know, his employers. That's so respectable. A lot of people don't have that, and we never wanted for anything. You know, we always had. We were never without anything. I'm sure there were times that were tough, you know, for our family, and we just didn't know it, you know, because they didn't talk about those things. I was always closer to my mom than my dad. We're very much alike. We're also very stubborn and hard-headed. We didn't always agree on things. We argued a lot. We yelled because I was a stupid teenager who thought I knew everything. And my mom was just my mom. And, you know, we still don't always agree on everything. And we probably won't ever, you know. It's just part of life. And that's fine, you know. She was brought up very differently, in a different time than I was. And I think that's kind of what I want to talk about is, you know, I was a teenager in the 90s, graduated high school in 1999. Things were more accepting then than, you know, a previous generation, but still very backwards. Again, living in a very small rural town, I knew maybe 2 gay people, because people just didn't come out because, you know, people didn't talk about that, you know. Being gay was a slur, you know. I was called homophobic slurs all through school, you know, middle school, high school, elementary school. It was very hard, and I wasn't gay, so I can only imagine what it was like for, you know, gays, lesbians, you know, that I went to school with, that, you know, hidden silence. It was hard enough for me. I can't imagine what it was like for them. It had to be really tough, because there were some relentless kids that I went to school with. And I was very weird. I'm still weird. I have different beliefs than most people about a lot of things, whether that's religion, life, sexuality. You know, it's easier to connect with people nowadays through the internet who have, you know, who are like-minded. But you know, I've connected to a lot of people. Many of you I know through the internet, and I'm very thankful for that. But a online friendship and online connection is just not the same as, you know, a one-on-one, in-person, you know, kind of friendship. And I didn't have that in school. Don't get me wrong, I had friends. I had a lot of friends. I had different friend groups. I was friends with the geeks. I was friends with the stoners. I had some friends that were kind of yeah, metalheads, but not really. But you know, and even really, I had some friends that were popular. But I didn't feel like I fit in any of those groups. I kind of just adapted. I'm sure some of you can, you know, relate to that. Between groups, I would adapt, you know, the way I talked, the way I acted to, you know, that situation. And it never felt like me, who I really was, who I wanted to be. You know, there was a piece of me in all of those things. And one of my best friends, you know, in school, we didn't have a, you know, one-on-one connection. I couldn't talk to him about what was going on in my life. If I was depressed, if I was sad, if I was hurting. We didn't have that kind of friendship. Um, he was great at making me laugh, making me smile, making me forget about, the troubles in my life. We could get drunk, we could watch horror movies, we could play video games. He was the kind of friend that you could hang out with, just a good dude, and he was my best friend, again. But, we're still friends, and I don't have that connection with him. He's just not that type of person. And I had my brother, who's 4 years younger than me. Uh, we became friends at a certain point in my teenage years. Um, and then I had my cousin Heather. She and I became very close. Um, and we don't see each other that often. We don't talk a lot because life happens. But she's still someone that I care about, that I love, who got me through so many things in school. But really, those were the only two people that I had that, what you would consider a, best friend, a real friend that I had. Um, I didn't have people that I felt like I could turn to. Um, and really, in high school, what do you know? You know, uh, my counselor that I go to see on a weekly basis recently said, what do you have to talk about in high school other than, uh, school or lying about how far you got with a girl, and in a way he's right. You haven't lived life at that age. And you think you have, you think you know everything, and you don't. But at the same time, you don't know any better. You haven't experienced anything. So what you're experiencing then is the most important thing. Um, just like now, what I'm experiencing now is the most important thing. Um, so I didn't know who to turn to. It wasn't until I was in my early 20s that I really felt like I had a true friend, someone I could talk to, that I could, sit with all night long until the sun came up, you know, talking about life, relationship problems, my depression, my anxiety. Uh, and that's hard. Um, maybe some of you have experienced that. Um, if for some reason you're a teenager and you're watching this, know that there are adults who have went through similar things. Um, Life is very different now with the internet. It is easy to find a group of people who have similar thoughts, but again, that's not the same as connecting one-on-one with someone. Um, I feel like there's a lot of people in my generation, and even more so, like my brother's generation or younger, who are adults who are just so, so much more accepting of a lot of things. Um, that times change, and they're constantly changing. Um, whether that is the acceptance of mental illness, it's not as taboo as it once was, uh, but it still is, especially with people my age or older, because we grew up in a time where it wasn't okay to talk about that, or it people weren't as accepting of it. It was a big stigma. Um, Another thing, I realized when I was younger that I was a big reader. I started reading, at an early age, and by the end of elementary school, I was reading, Stephen King, Anne Rice, H.P. Lovecraft. I was reading things that a child at my age probably shouldn't have been reading, but my mom kind of encouraged that, but I realized, maybe even in middle school, that I was having a hard time reading. Words would just blur together. And as I got into high school, it got worse. And because there was that stigma, I didn't even tell my parents until just within like the last year that I had this issue. I think my mom maybe knew a little bit, but I was afraid to tell them. And that was hard. I had a lot of problems when I was in high school with my stomach. I get sick real easily. I always have. Had a lot of stomach problems in high school, and I would just be so sick, and my mom didn't believe me. She thought I just wanted to skip school because I didn't like school. I didn't. That was true. I didn't. She thought the reason that I was sick was because I didn't want to go to school. No, I was sick. I would vomit a lot. And the girl I was dating at the time, I would go to her house in the morning before school, and I would just be sick. And she would tell me, "You're not going to school." I'm like, "I have to. My mom's not going to call me in. She thinks I'm faking it." And so she would call my mom. And when she would call my mom would believe her, but wouldn't believe me. And that was very tough, And I get it, I was a teenager and she thought I was just trying to skip out on school, but I was sick. So when I thought that I had dyslexia, I didn't tell anyone. I didn't tell anyone until I was probably 26 or 27 because I was embarrassed by it. I'm still embarrassed by it. And a lot of people have it. There's no reason to be embarrassed by it, now. But because I grew up in a time where I felt like I was stupid. I felt like I was stupid because I couldn't read right. Not the way other people could read. And that was tough. Because I liked reading. I wish I could read still. I have a very hard time with it. I listen to audiobooks now. And that's great. But it's not the same. And it's very tough. When I was in college, I took a speech class. And I had to read what I wrote. And I couldn't do it. I had to bullshit my way through it because I couldn't read what was on my note cards. Just couldn't. Sometimes words just look like complete blurs to me. I imagine it's what a child feels like looking at words. I see them, but sometimes I don't know what they are. And I read them in the wrong order, and it doesn't make sense to me. I have to read things over and over again sometimes to understand them. And that's very tough. So, there are a few people in my life that know about this. There's a lot that don't. I have a hard time being open about this. And that's how I felt my whole life. I don't know how to be open with people about certain things. I've gotten a lot better about it. I have friends, really close friends that I'm very open with. My friend Greg, that we like what we like with. I'm very open with him about a lot of things. But there are still times where I don't even feel like I can talk to him. My buddy Joe, that I mentioned in my last video. He's like a brother to me. He really is. But there are things I don't feel I can talk to him about. And he's not judgmental. He's not at all. But because I have that stigma, there's that taboo in my brain, I can't do it. I'm scared. And that kind of goes back to why I'm doing these videos, is, I'm not always good at talking to people. I don't talk a lot. I really don't. I used to be extremely social. I liked being the center of attention at a party. And now I'd rather stay in the background, in a corner, just kind of hiding. We've had parties at our house before where I will find any excuse to get up and go into the house. We'll be sitting around the fire pit, and I'm like, oh, do you need a drink? Do you need a refill? Oh, I'll go get it. And I didn't even realize it at first. Part of it is I do like to play host. I do. But a big part of it is that I'm trying to escape. I'm trying to get away from people. I feel embarrassed about who I am. I feel embarrassed about the way I talk. I don't feel smart enough to be around some of my friends. So I kind of just hide. And that's bad. Like, I know it is. I shouldn't feel that way around the people, that I'm friends with. And they don't make me feel that way. It's in my brain. And if you suffer through this, these sort of things, know that there's nothing wrong with you. There is, but there's not. It's okay to be that way. I understand. It's hard, yes. But there are a lot of us out there who feel this way as well. And we'll be there for you. As much as we can. I think kind of having depression and anxiety kind of puts you in a certain group. Where you understand people a different way than most do. And sometimes you can be more accepting because you want to be accepted. So you're willing to relate on a different level than other people are. When I was in school, I grew up in a religious family. Being gay, being a lesbian, bisexual, transgendered, all that was, no. Yeah, that was wrong. Hate the sin, not the sinner. And I realized at a very early age, I didn't agree with that. In my mind, if there was a God, I don't think he felt that way. I think he's accepting. And, that was kind of forced down my throat. Not as bad as some people. Definitely not. I know people have had it way worse as far as religion goes. But, that's how I was brought up. I didn't agree with that. I think, and I've always thought, if you're happy and you're not hurting anyone, who cares? You know? If you love a man and you're a man, if you're a woman, you love a woman, if you love both, you know? If you're a woman and trapped inside a man's body, you gotta be happy. You gotta find that. And don't let anyone tell you you're wrong, because you're not. Because it's what's in here, what's in your heart. That's what matters. And if you don't follow that, you're just going to continue to hurt. I know that's sometimes easier said than done, but if you don't follow it, your life is going to be even harder. I know some people that are younger who are struggling with their sexuality. And then I have a friend from high school. He realized at a certain point that he was a woman trapped in a man's body. And I'm so proud of her for realizing that. And, not hiding anymore, It's something that she said she's felt since she was a child, but, couldn't come out of it, because her family wasn't accepting. And that sucks. We should love one another, no matter what, I know I struggled with that when I was younger. To be real with you guys, that's what this is all about. When I was younger, I thought I was gay. Partially because people told me I was gay over and over again. I thought, well, maybe they're right. Maybe I am gay. And, to be fair, I found guys attractive. I did. So, being real with you again, I explored that. I realized at some point that I wasn't gay. But I didn't know that till I discovered that. And I still find guys attractive. Find women attractive. I don't know, that makes me straight, bi, whatever. It doesn't need a label. Who cares? I'm a married man. I've got a wife. But my point is, what makes you happy is the most important. When I was in my mid-20s, I was working at a factory. And I was working with a bunch of middle-aged women. And there was one younger girl that worked on our line. She was cool. Cool as fuck. Really got along with her really well. But all the women tried to set me up with her. Because we were both the young ones, There's about 4 years age difference between us, which is nothing, when you're 20s. Once you get to high school, age just doesn't matter anymore. It's a big thing when you're in school, and it's stupid. That's a whole other topic. But they tried to set me up with this girl. And when I told them I didn't find her attractive, they just went nuts. Like, oh, why not? Why not? She's cool, she's nice. Yeah, but I'm not attracted to her. Like, I can't be with someone I'm not attracted to. Sex isn't everything. But it's still something. And if you're going to have a relationship, it's going to come up. If you're not sexually attracted to someone, then you shouldn't be with them, because it's not fair to you, it's not fair to them, you know. They're like, oh, well, you know, open up your mind and you know, be more accepting and you might be able to get into it. I'm like, you know, I could lie to myself, but I just didn't find her attractive. I didn't. We all know what we find attractive. We do. We realize it at some point in our lives, and sometimes it does change, you know. That's fine. That's fine too. But you gotta discover that on your own, not what someone else tells you. And if you have people in your lives, whether it's friends or family, telling you what you should or shouldn't think, it's very hard to cut out those that you love. But it's the one time that we can be picky. We can be choosy. Especially if we're going to spend the rest of our lives with someone. You have every right to be choosy then. You deserve to be happy with who you're with. And if that person doesn't make you comfortable, is not understanding of you, don't be with that person. I've been there. I've gone through some really shitty relationships with people who made me feel like I was not worth anything. People that just made me feel like a horrible person. Don't do that to yourselves. If you are someone who is young watching this, don't start that. Do not let that get into your head. Be your own person. Be what makes you happy. Because that will make a better quality of life. I don't know if I can give any other better advice. I know. If you want to listen to somebody who's almost 40 tell you, you know, how to live your life, that is the best advice I can give you. Find what makes you happy. Find what you love. If that is being with a man, being with a woman, being with multiple people. Who cares? If that is what makes you happy, follow that. Because otherwise, life is going to be real hard. And it is hard enough. Life sucks. And it's not going to get better. So surround yourself with people that you love, people that you care about, who support you. And that will make this whole thing so much better. I promise you. I promise you that. This is a kind of a change course from where I originally planned on this video going, but that's kind of the point of it, is that there's no point. It's really about talking about what's on my mind. If you need someone to talk to, if you need someone to listen, let me know. If it's not me, find someone who will, because you deserve that. You deserve someone who will listen. Honestly listen and not judge you, and will be there for you and not give up on you, because you're worth not giving up on. I love you guys. Know that. I love you all. And I'm so thankful that you've come on this journey with me. This stupid, stupid journey. I appreciate, you know, again, all your kind words. If you want to talk to me, I will leave the link to my email below, but it is diaryofajunkie@gmail.com. can get a hold of me there. You can get a hold of me through YouTube. If you want to leave a comment, if you feel comfortable with that, I would love that. You can find me on, Facebook if you really want to. You can find me on Instagram. I love Instagram more than Facebook, so I'll leave links to all those below, and I'd be happy to talk with you, whether it's through messaging or through videos. Let's we'll do old school, like almost like letters. We'll do video letters to each other if you want. I'll be happy to do that for you if you need that in your life. If it'll help, I'll be happy to. I'm here to listen. Doesn't matter your age, gender, whatever. That's what I'm here for. You guys take care, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.